Good morning, Mr. CCDV here. I promised to tell you how to do a decent broccoli saute, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. Remember, cleanliness is the important thing. So, the first thing we do is wash our hands, naturally. But when I told you about the broccoli saute, I said we needed to use clarified butter, broccoli, and shallots. And so that's what we're going to do this morning. With a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of garlic powder. I love garlic powder. So, my hands are clean. Not that I've practiced or anything. Alright, so I've got 2 sticks of butter here that I have to throw into a pot and turn into clarified butter. Now this is standard butter. Alright, we need to turn this into clarified butter. It'll take a few minutes, but it'll be worth it. What you do is you get rid of all the milk solids and all the water out of the butter in order to clarify it, and that turns it into straight solid oil. Cooking, good stuff. Now, while we're waiting for the butter to clarify, we're going to go ahead and use the broccoli. Now, if you don't have a decent chef's knife, that's the balance point. So I'm holding the chef's knife here in my hand between my first and second, or my thumb and my first finger. That is an excellent chef's knife. If you do not have one, you need to get one. Alright? This is the balance point. This is what you want to have when you're cooking. That way, and don't ever do this, please. Don't ever put your finger on top of the knife. That will cut your finger faster than it'll cut the broccoli that you're trying to cut. Alright, so hold it here. You're pinching it between your thumb and first finger. Alright? That is how you hold a chef's knife. Now, what I want to do is I want to get decent florets off of this thing. So what I'm going to do initially is just cut off the great big stem that is on it. Alright? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Second thing I'm going to do is go in here and separate the florets that have already come off. Take a little bit off of that one. And you see how you've got all of this air here, right? We don't want these stems. Alright, these stems are alright if you are a vegetarian. I'm not, I'm a meat eater. So the stems are fine for vegetarians, not for me. So I'm going to take off the rest of the stems here. And there you go. You've got broccoli florets everywhere. You want to break them apart as best you can. Alright, so you've got decent broccoli florets everywhere. Now, I've got these stem pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and toss them. If I were making a vegetable stock, I would use those for a vegetable stock. Now let's go back over here. Look here, I've got the heat too high. Let me turn it down. You see all that yellow stuff on top? All that yellow stuff on top, that is the milk fats and water solids that we're trying to get rid of. That's why we're clarifying the butter. Now, because I didn't pay very close attention to it, it browned the butter a little bit. So it is a little less oily than I wanted it to be. So unfortunately the butter is brown now, but we're making broccoli and that's actually going to taste pretty good when we do it. So let's go ahead and separate the butter. We're going to separate the butter now from the oil. So we are going to get the milk solids and water out of it as best we can, because we are going to be sauteing with this. A little bit of paper towel and a strainer. And we pour the butter right in. You can do this with a coffee filter as well. Now, since we have to blanch, and I'll explain blanch here in a few minutes, but since we have to blanch the broccoli, I'm going to use the same pan. While I'm waiting for the butter to separate, I'm going to go ahead and clean this sucker and fill her with hot water. This is Cooking Basics 101. Always clean up after yourself. Cooking Basics 102. Always use salt. Alright, we're all the way on hot water. Let's fill this sucker up. Look at that. See the milk solids separating from the oil? That's clarified butter down there in the bottom. Now, we got that filled with hot water. Let's put it on the stove. Get the fire turned up. Now, with this much water, we want to add about 3 tablespoons of salt. That's about 3 tablespoons of salt. That works. The reason we want to do that, even though we're blanching the vegetables, right, we're getting them just soft enough to tolerate at al dente level. Al dente means to the tooth. So you take a bite of a vegetable and it still goes just a little bit crunch. That's what we're doing with this. However, there's no reason not to add flavor to it. And that's what we're doing. So we add the salt, and we'll show you how to do that here in just a few minutes. Alright, you see all these milk solids that are left over. There's still a little bit of oil in there, but we're in a hurry, so let's go ahead and get this over with. Alright, now what we have is clarified butter. Not the best clarified butter I've ever made, mind you, but it'll do. Now, I do need this. Once that water comes to a boil, I'm going to stick all of this broccoli in there. Why not? There you go. Alright, so while we're waiting for that to come to a boil, we've got our broccoli ready, we've got our clarified butter ready. Let's go ahead and get the 12-inch skillet we're going to use to saute the broccoli. Normally I use non-stick skillets, but I actually kind of like the ceramic coated one. It's very easy to clean even when stuff sticks to it. So I will use the ceramic 12-inch for this. 10 inch, not 12. I'll use the ceramic 10-inch for this one. Alright, now let's go ahead and get this shallot cut up into decent pieces. Remember, you're holding your knife properly. Just like an onion, a shallot has an outside skin, so you want to make sure that you get that shallot out of the skin. Alright, and because the skin doesn't taste good, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. I know I wasn't, but maybe some people were. There you go. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is cut this into smaller pieces. And once we've done that, we can actually go through and do an entire cut. Now you see it, my knife is not leaving the board. Alright, and you don't want your knife to leave the board if you can help it. Now if you're cutting mushrooms and things like that, where you really want the very, very small cut, sometimes it's good to do that, but most of the time you don't want your knife to leave the board. You want your tip here, and you're doing a rolling motion. That not only slices the vegetable, but it also keeps your knife blade sharp if you don't know how to sharpen a blade. Alright, but in my case, I do know how to sharpen a blade, and so I'm going to go ahead and go through and do the mincing with my knife on the shallot the way it is lined up. Now, you gather that back up in a line, you go through again, you're mincing the shallots. That's what you're doing. So, the shallot is a cross between an onion and garlic. So you don't actually have to add garlic to this menu. I'm still going to, mind you, because I like garlic a lot. But you don't have to if you're using the shallot because it has the onion and garlic flavor already in it. Now this is a simple recipe, and I know a lot of people are going, simple? Trust me, cooking techniques get way out of whack if you go any farther than this, but what you're looking for, now you've got not the best mince ever. I mean, I've done better, obviously, but I'm not really looking for perfection in this dish. This is sauteed broccoli, and that's what we're looking for. So we have our clarified butter, we have our shallots, our water has come to a boil. Put a little bit of that in there. Put the onion, or shallot, I should say, in there. Let that go for a little bit. And what we're doing is we are softening the shallots. by letting it cook for about 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes in the clarified butter while we have our broccoli blanching. So we got that going on high heat right now. That'll be, I'll turn that down once it comes up to temperature. Now, remember we put the broccoli in here. So what we're just going to do is drop that right in. Now, we are allowing this broccoli to blanch for a few minutes. That means all the color and all the flavor is going to come right to the surface of that broccoli. Now, you see this here, right? The shallots are starting to soften already. Look how beautiful that is turning out. Is that not gorgeous or what? Let's go ahead and add some salt to that. The salt will allow some of the water to come out of the shallots. So you get the water out, but you get the flavor in. And that is what we're really looking for. Alright, look at that broccoli. Is that the greenest broccoli you've ever seen? Now remember, if you let it go for too long, it will turn gray, and you don't want that. But you do want it to be blanched so it's nearly cooked, so that when you throw it in here with the shallots and you start tossing it, you've got an absolutely beautiful broccoli saute. That is what we're looking for. You can add a little bit of salt to it later on if you want to. Naturally, I do. You do not want these shallots to burn. You do not want them to toast. You do not want them to fry. You are looking for them to soften, which is why I turned the heat down to low while I'm waiting for the broccoli to blanch. And are we there? 1 more minute. 1 minute. All right, now this is the fun part. Here we go. Everybody ready? Let's turn that heat back up to high. Alright, watch yourself. You got to drain these properly. If you don't drain them properly, you're going to get splatters all up in your face. So you got to make sure that they're decently drained. There you go. Turn that heat off. This is the fun part. If you do not know how to flip them, then just use your spatula to go ahead and flip them yourself. Oh, look at that. I'm better at flipping than I am at spatulating.
One might even call it spatuling.
Now you're going to do this for about 3 minutes. Doggone it, now the dog gets to eat. I think that's the same piece that jumped out of the pan earlier. Has it been 3 minutes yet? Remember, we don't want to overdo this. Broccoli is not great raw, but sauteed is pretty good. And this is not raw. Remember, we blanched it and now we're sauteing it. So this is not raw broccoli. However, it is also not gray broccoli. You see that? You've got all that beautiful green color in there.
So as an FYI, this is not a meal you can create while not paying attention.
Most of cooking comes from not paying attention, yes. Alright, let's go ahead and take a taste of that. Phew. Alright, I've got plenty of clarified butter left over, don't I? There you go, Digital Living. There you go. That is a good flavor. You got that broccoli flavor. I'm gonna have broccoli in my teeth while I'm saying this. You got that broccoli flavor. You have that shallot flavor. You got that butter flavor. My goodness. All it needs is a touch of salt. My goodness. Tell me salt doesn't make things taste better. Go ahead, Digital 11. Tell me salt doesn't make things taste better.
I can't because that's a lie.
That is sauteed broccoli. Now, mind you, it's not raw, but it is close to... I just spit out a little bit of broccoli, didn't I? It's close to raw. So you still got all of the vitamins and minerals in the broccoli that you just cut the stem off, blanch it a little bit, saute it. So it's not raw. You don't get that same crunch from a raw broccoli. But this is al dente. So you got that to the tooth feel. And you still got that little bit of resistance in the vegetable fibers, which is what you're looking for. And ooh, you've added so much flavor to this already just by using clarified butter and salt. That's all it is. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I really hope that you enjoy the sauteed broccoli because I do. Alright folks, have a great day. God bless.